Hey, welcome to our Spotlight on the Industry, a series where we are going to be taking a dive into specific industries and what we see in the reliability space. Now, I'm pretty excited because with a asset watch person coming in here has a great background in mining, which is going to be the spotlight industry today. So, Dustin, if you don't mind giving us a little bit of introduction of yourself.
Thank you, Wes. Pleasure to be here and look forward to kind of shedding some light on some things I've learned over the years as far as it relates to the mining industry and the insights that I've gained over the years. So I came to Asset Watch in 2023. I'm approaching the third year here, as I think April 24th or something is going to be my 3 year anniversary. So as I started with Asset Watch, I was an individual contributor, started as just a condition monitoring engineer. Um, and since I've been promoted to a manager, a CME manager, so I now manage a team of analysts and provide support and mentorship to newcomers. So um, prior to Asset Watch is where I kind of built the foundation for my career. So I started my career in an electric motor repair facility. I spent 12 years there. Obviously, I've done a lot of mechanical repair, worked my way up through the ranks, and before I left, I was the lead field service tech for the motor shop. I've done a lot of laser alignment over the years, a lot of field balance, and that's where I started kind of getting involved in vibration, done a lot of electrical testing. And being from Western Kentucky, we serviced a lot of the coal industry, aggregate. There's a lot of that in my neck of the woods here. So after I left the motor shop, I went to work for one of the largest coal producers in the United States, and I spent 12 years with them. For them, I ran a reliability program. They were pretty forward thinking, but there was some adaptation there to change mindsets from reactive and get more proactive. And that knowledge that I gained over the course of that 24 years have really guided me, set me on a good path here with Asset Watch. And me and my team we cover a lot of different industries across my team, but there's a special focus with mining and aggregate. Me and my team have kind of there's teams on Asset Watch that are kind of more dedicated to the paper and pulp and the different industries, and my team is more dedicated to with focus to mining and aggregate.
So, if we're talking about mining and aggregate, kind of go into the equipment that you're monitoring or the types of assets that you're typically involved with.
Yeah, and that's coming from the coal industry, the two industries share a lot of the same equipment. You have a lot of the same types of reducers, Dodge torque arm style reducers, vibrating screens, crushers. So I had familiar, yeah, conveyor systems. So it's basically a lot of the same machines. There's just different material being conveyed down the conveyor line. So yeah, it's a the big thing with mining and aggregate is one of the biggest challenges is the environment. Just like we said, vibrating screens and crushers are subjective to a lot of impacting, and you got dust flying in the air. So you've constantly got to worry about that getting into your bearings, your lubrication paths, things like that, which can be really detrimental to your equipment.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about kind of some of the unique challenges with mining, and I've been to a ton of different mines, aggregate companies, cement companies, things like that, and I always find it fascinating that in that industry specifically, you can see the process, right? Because everything's kind of moving along. So anytime there's any interruption in service, it is very apparent.
Yeah.
So you're already talking about it's dirty, it's usually very heavily loaded, right? Because most of this stuff isn't light by any means. We're moving a bunch of material, and there's always that production pressure with it as well.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you need that in order for those sites to be profitable. You need that material to run through the process and get conveyed here and there and come out on the other end and be loaded and transported to where it needs to go. So yeah, maintaining uptime is a big thing in both mining, aggregate, cement type facilities for sure.
So whenever you're thinking about this, the failure modes that we see, because we do have things that are heavily loaded. We've got a lot of shock loads and things like that. Where do you see, failures with that compared to maybe a less demanding industry?
Yeah, so especially like talking about the shock loading and stuff. We just use an aggregate site, for example, where you have dump trucks pulling up, and rock has been blasted off a wall, and you got big slabs of rock being dumped into a hopper, and then it goes through a crushing process, and your bearings and stuff like that take a lot of beating. So one thing I've seen with mining and aggregate is things can really develop pretty rapidly. When you're subjected to that repetitive impacting and stuff like that. When there's a defect, sometimes it don't give a whole lot of time to identify and relay that information and give the customer time to react. So that's one thing at Asset Watch that we've done good the last few years, really looking at the challenges in each industry and trying to cater the product to meet, those challenges. And aggregate mining are just one example. I mean, we've catered the product to kind of meet the needs of, quicker readings or faster response times, things like that.
And obviously, we talk about the PF curve, and from it sounds like your experience from the moment of detection to functional failure, so much shorter in this environment than maybe we see elsewhere.
Definitely can be. It definitely can be. And then you got the, like we've mentioned, you got the dust that's you're constantly kind of trying to fight and keep it out of your lubrication paths and bearings, and so if that gets in the mix, you can get a lot of accelerated wear from that as well.
So, if we were thinking about this, where do you feel like mining operations are in adopting predictive maintenance, today?
But that's one thing that since I've been in Asset Watch has been pretty surprising to me. I mean, you given my background, I mean, I've been involved in this stuff for 24 years, and to me, it's just a no brainer to do, precision type maintenance, do your laser alignments, and do things like vibration, oil sample, and stuff like that, to where you get an early indication. And one thing that's really surprised me is there's a lot of big name companies out there that hasn't realized the importance of and value in doing that. So I don't think the mining is any different than any other industry. We still see teams that are at different stages in their growth of a reliability program. You see some sites that are really reactive still. They don't understand what we're trying to accomplish. They're still looking at temperature to be the indicator that something's going wrong. And just like referring to the PF curve, yeah, you can detect issues way before you see signs with temperature. So that's part of what we do at Asset Watch. We're not just analyzing spectrums and reporting vibration. It's much deeper than that. We try to be a partner with those maintenance teams, and when we come across a team that's maybe not as knowledgeable or maybe don't understand the concept of all of this reliability and precision maintenance and stuff, we meet them where they're at and try to use it as a coaching opportunity, and we try to get them to where they understand how to be more proactive.
And I love that because I think that's a really good segue into if someone's just starting out. Maybe it's a new facility or they've been operating but they've never really focused on predictive maintenance and proactive maintenance. Where do you tell people to start? What are some of the quick wins that you can usually help uncover?
But just understanding like the easy stuff. There's a lot of information out there on a lot of places just have a time schedule, and they go around and they shoot grease in a motor, and they put the same number of shots in every Zerk fitting, and it's there's a lot more to it than that. So doing the research to different types of bearings require different types of quantities of grease and different intervals. So, doing the research to kind of establish a good lubrication program is a good example of a way to get an early win. Understanding the importance of precision alignment, can go a long way. Just for an example, when I worked for the coal company, we had one site that was really on board with precision maintenance and reliability, And then we had some sites that were a little bit more reactive. There was even in that internal company, there was still some different mindsets. And one thing I seen, we repaired a lot of our own motors, and the ones that were on board with doing precision laser alignments and stuff, they would send their motors in for repair, and it was usually a really quick repair. Replace the bearings for a few $100, and we could get them back running again. And the sites that didn't believe in precision maintenance as much, they would send their motors in, and because they had been running misaligned, you would have a greater degree of where your housings would require machine work. Your housings would have to be repaired, seals would have to be replaced, and things like that. So just start small and continue building on that would be my advice. Make little small moves, and even those little small moves can provide a lot of value.
Now, when I think about this type of industry, there tends to be a lot of, let's call it, vintage equipment. Things
Yeah.
that there's not off the shelf parts that are readily available to swap out. So if someone's wanting to maximize the life, especially with aging assets, we have to do some form of monitoring, right?
Yeah, that's a very good point, and that's another thing that I've really been eye opening here at Asset Watch. There's a lot of like you said, vintage machines and maybe unique machines where if you had to replace it, it would require a long lead time to. And that's the thing. That's another thing we do at Asset Watch is we want to when we initially start communicating with a customer, we want to understand that type of stuff. Criticality is a big thing. It don't make sense to continuously monitor vibration on every little motor and gearbox you've got in the plant. So understanding what each the criticality of each machine is, whether it's costly to replace, or you've got long lead times, or it's detrimental to operation. Those are the things where it makes a lot of sense to continuously monitor. Where if you've got a set of pumps there where there's a lot of redundancy. Maybe you've got one set up to be a running spare. Those are the types of things that you can do, like route-based vibration on. We offer some solutions on things like that too. But yeah, definitely a good point. Understanding, and that goes back to maybe an easy win. Maybe that's the first step in the early part of the journey of becoming more proactive would be to maybe do a criticality assessment. To understand these are my big players. These is what I can't afford to fail on me. So that's the goal with this. Especially with vibration, oil, stuff like that, is to recognize state faults in an early form, to give you early warning, to prepare to do work, or order spare parts, things like that.
Now, Dustin, obviously we've covered a lot of ground here, and I know there's a lot more to unpack. But if you wanted to boil it down here, kind of some parting thoughts, what are some big takeaways that you'd hope someone would take from this video, especially in this industry?
Yeah, I mean I think more than anything to understand is the more you can get to using technologies like laser alignment to do your precision maintenance and set things up from success, and then have some kind of a monitoring or multiple monitoring techniques where it's applicable. That's it buys you time. It really does. If you're standing around waiting to see temperature increases, your machine's in a failure stage, and there's a lot of damage that's already been done. So that's kind of the goal of all of this is you're recognizing stuff in its early forms and giving you the time to get that stuff on hand and plan to repair it on your time instead of midnight on Saturday night, when things decide to fail. And it's usually in the dead of winter, the hot of the summertime, when things are miserable to work on. So
That's it.
it's
It's
put,
always Christmas Eve, right?
yeah, exactly. But more than anything, I guess you're by using this stuff, you're putting yourself and your maintenance teams in control of these things, rather than just reacting to what the machines are showing you. So
Absolutely. Well, Dustin, I definitely appreciate the time. And I'd once again like to thank our sponsor, Asset Watch, for bringing us spotlight on the industry here. And for more information on Asset Watch and their solutions for your industry, visit the link in the description.